Should the President of the United States attend an event sponsored by The Family, the group that operates the C Street House in Washington and that has troubling ties to the so-called Kill the Gays bill under consideration in another country? For several months now, we've covered the story of this proposed law. It would execute people for the crime of being gay. Now, the law is proposed in another country, in Uganda, but it's connected to American politics. When Republican Governor Mark Sanford of South Carolina confessed tearfully this summer to his extramarital affair, he said that he'd received counseling on the matter at a Christian fellowship house in Washington called C Street. When Republican Senator John Ensign also confessed to his extramarital affair this summer, it emerged that he too received counseling about his affair at C Street. He was, in fact, living at the C Street house while the affair was going on. When former Republican Congressman Chip Pickering was named in his wife's alienation of affection lawsuit over his alleged extramarital affair, it emerged that in that case, too, Congressman Pickering was living at the C Street house while allegedly having his affair. Now, the C Street house is technically a church. At least it was listed that way for tax purposes by The Family, which is a secretive religious group that operates the C Street House and that is tied to the Kill the Gays bill. For decades, The Family's operated as a shadowy, secretive religious group which cultivates relationships with powerful people in Washington and around the world, but itself tries to stay out of the spotlight. They are in the spotlight now, thanks to its congressional frat house, featuring in not one, not two, but three Republican sex scandals in the past year, thanks to Jeff Sharlett's landmark reporting on the group, and thanks to the Kill the Gays bill. It was a member of The Family who introduced the Kill the Gays bill in the Ugandan parliament. The highest level support for the bill has come from the Minister for Ethics and Integrity in that country's government, who's also a member of The Family. The idea for the Kill the Gays bill was first floated at an event associated with the Ugandan National Prayer Breakfast, an event sponsored by The Family. Now, a member of The Family, Bob Hunter, broke the group's silence and came on this show a few weeks ago to say that The Family did not support the Kill the Gays bill, but he couldn't dispel the group's myriad connections to the bill either. One thing The Family does openly take credit for in politics is the National Prayer Breakfast. They don't just do it in Uganda, they do it here every year. They have for decades. Every U.S. president since Eisenhower has attended these annual prayer breakfasts. They're seen as nonpartisan, relatively innocuous, if vaguely insulting to the idea of the separation between church and state. But this year, the Family's sponsorship of the National Prayer Breakfast seems rather less innocuous. Even beyond the sex scandals and cover-ups of the C Street house, there's also the fact that two family members behind the Kill the Gays bill, David Bahati and James Baturo, both said in recent weeks that they were planning on traveling to the U.S. to attend this year's prayer breakfast, alongside President Obama and all the other dignitaries who are expected to make appearances. We can report tonight that, despite their claims, neither Mr. Bahati nor Mr. Baturo will actually be attending the prayer breakfast. The State Department confirmed that for us late today. Even without those two there, though, should the President of the United States still be planning on attending the Family's prayer event? Joining us now is someone who thinks not. Melanie Sloan is the executive director of CREW, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. CREW has sent a letter calling on the president and members of Congress to not attend the breakfast. Melanie, thanks very much for being here.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
So what is your argument, in short, against the president not attending this?
That the president shouldn't give his imprimatur, the suggestion of legitimacy, to such a questionable organization that really has cult-like status and has been involved in tax problems, has been involved with unethical politicians. And this event, as your video showed, looks like it's somehow official. There are presidential seals and other indicia of that it's a government-sponsored event. And whenever high-level congressional officials and the president attend, you're basically giving it the imprimatur of the U.S. government. And this is an event, by the way, that the Family uses for fundraising and networking.
The White House today told us that the president is going. They said it's a bipartisan, congressionally hosted event. They said every president since Eisenhower has attended, and just because he walks into a room doesn't mean that the president agrees with everything everyone else in that room says or does.
Well, I doubt he's going to walk into, say, a neo-Nazi gathering, and it seems to me that that's a kind of a bogus argument. And the fact that other presidents have done it, well, I mean, that's like what you tell your mom, all the other kids are doing it, so I want to do it too.
Do you think that the White House could change its mind on this? Have you had any response from them on your letter?
We haven't heard anything from the White House, and I don't think they will change their minds. They obviously are also interested in cultivating the Christian right where they can, and I think that they would see it as a real problem to pull out at this point. But I do think people, Americans, ought to know what the president is going to and who's behind this event, because they'll see it on television and it'll look innocuous, and it isn't innocuous, and that's the key thing. People should know about it, and they should call the White House if they think it's inappropriate for the president to attend.
In terms of your worries about the family, obviously we've reported on a lot of different things about them over the last few months, but in terms of why you see it as an ethical issue in Washington, is secrecy the main issue for you?
Well, there's an awful lot of it is secrecy issues. They're so hidden. I mean, Doug Coe, the head of the family, won't even generally get up on the platform at his own event because he recognizes that it would be a problem if people knew that he was associated with it. And they have very shadowy fundraising, and it's unclear who their donors are, who's supporting this fellowship. And then there's the issue of all the politicians, in addition to the ones you named. Kansas Representative Todd Tiahart has also been associated with the family, and he is now being under investigation for his part in the PMA scandal, a lobbying group that's been involved in a lot of earmark problems.
Melanie Sloan is the Executive Director of Citizens for Ethics and Responsibility in Washington. Let us know if you hear anything. Thanks for your time tonight. It's good to see you.
Thanks.
Thanks.